Yarn. We're your hosts, Kristen
and Regina
of Black Yarn Inc., a nonprofit dedicated to shining a light on systems and community through Black experiences.
Every episode, we go deeper into the histories, the people, and the moments that shape our communities. We connect those stories to the research and to the systems that impact our daily lives. Because if we don't see the machine at work, we're more likely to believe the lie that outcomes are just individual instead of designed.
This is about learning something new, seeing differently, and remembering that none of us can thrive alone. Community is not optional, it's essential. This is not just a podcast, this is resistance. Let's get into it.
All right, we're back with the yarn. I'm Kristen and LaRue. And I'm Regina. And today we have a special guest, our first special guest, Megan LaRue, my sister. Yes, like, we appreciate you being here today. Yes, silent clap. We appreciate you being here today. We wanted to have this special conversation because we recently got back from Miami, where we went to the American Black Film Festival. The three of us went, and we wanted to share our experience with you guys and kind of talk about what we did, some of the things we learned, the people we saw, and also talk about narratives and why they matter and what we learned about the importance of Black storytelling.
What is the Black Film Festival and why it matters?
So to kick us off, let's just talk about a little bit about what is the American Black Film Festival. It is a festival that's been going on for the past 30 years that where actors and creatives, directors, everybody who's behind the scenes in Black film comes to convene, watch each other's latest projects, networks and parties a lot, to be honest with you, and just has great discussion and shares their upcoming films as well as just various projects. This was our first time going. This was my personal first time going to a film festival. I don't know about you guys. Same. And so I didn't know, we didn't know what the heck to expect. You were going in blind. But I would say for a first festival, this was a great one to go to.
Yes.
What we were able to see, some of the people we were able to meet, the conversations we were able to listen in on, it was top notch. Regina, share with us what your experience was like. Like, what did you, I know you were writing your dissertation throughout the entire trip. We respected that. But
I did. Yeah, I was between film screenings, panels, and writing. So It was a wild 7 days, but it was great. So again, like I did not know what to expect going into this film festival. We got an invite and I was like, cool, we're going to be there and maybe like watch some films.
Shout out to Tony.
Yes.
Thank you, Tony.
Tony Brooks. Thank you for the invitation to Miami to go to this American Black Film Festival. But I think it blew my mind. Like even if I had expectations, it would have went beyond that.
Yeah.
So we were in a room with like stars, like literally right in front of us, right behind us. Kristen and I were in a film watching, and you'll probably talk about this later, but it's called Otra. And we're watching the film, and she leans over. She said, "Is that Tyler Perry?" And I was like, "I don't know. Where'd he go?" She's like, "I think he just went outside." I said, "Okay." So I like pulled up the app, pulled up the film that we're in. And I was like, "Well, he helped produce it, so it could have been him."
He has one of those head shapes that I don't have to see his face. It's just like that body shape. That looks like Tyler Perry.
Yeah. And then lo and behold, he comes back in the room, and he's like right behind us. I'm like, "That was Tyler Perry. Yeah. You have great eyes." Cool. But I think what was really cool is that it was like, there was a lot of people there, but it was small enough to like actually feel like you were part of the community. Mm-hmm. So like I sat by one guy who he created this film. I think his name is Aaron Smalls. I'll need to go back and double check that. But the film is Perpetuators in Government Systems. So it's this film all about systems that was related to his experience with the negative kind of being pulled over. So he made a film about it and I actually watched that film and I was like looking him up. I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm like sitting beside a star and he's just chill, just talking. So I think something that stood out to me was that this was a really great opportunity to connect with other Black storytellers from like the high school student all the way up to, like Tyler Perry. Yeah. But everybody was willing to connect and like not gatekeep, but like make collaborative connections or give wisdom. So it was incredible for me. I feel like I learned so many things. I was like taking notes and soaking it in the panels and like watching these films that are just amazing. I feel like oftentimes we don't know the path that people have to take from like starting the film to like getting it on the big screen. And we've had a taste of it with the documentary, but even like going, bigger and beyond that. Yeah. So I think that was a really cool experience. How about you all? What were some of the highlights for you?
It just blew my expectations for real. I was following them like on social media, so I was like, okay, they're gonna be here. They're gonna be here. Okay, this is what the party is gonna be like. So it just blew my mind, even following them on social media. And one of the things I also enjoyed was, like the community, but everybody looked so good, and I love seeing everybody's style and how they carry themselves, and everybody, like, from the people who volunteered and worked there were just so nice, so pleasant. So it was just an amazing experience.
Yeah, I would definitely say it was people from all over the U.S. there and outside internationally as well. And it wasn't just Black, it was Black and brown. So there was really good representation. And there was just so many different types of Black people. It was like me and Megan went to HBCUs. Regina went to UK. We're not, well, it is.
Yeah.
But
No shame there.
It was like having another chance at being back on the HBCU campus, the kind of culture that you were around, the people you were around, the elevated just way of thinking and being. It was so nice to just be in the atmosphere with other people, and diverse set of Black people. It's very different than here, I would say. And so, yeah, we all had different experiences. I think probably my favorite part about it, like I said, definitely seeing the people, but listening to the panel conversations and seeing the humanity of the actors. Like, it's one thing to see somebody on a screen and really respect their work. It's another thing to see them as their person and realize that obviously that's two different people, but just to see them be normal and be like, oh, like I can identify with you beyond your character. I can identify with you like as a person. I think that was one of the things that I took away with the most, was just how normal these people are. And we're all just trying to do the next right thing and show up in the next right space to tell the right stories. That's what I really appreciated about it.
The stories behind the films.
So speaking of what it was like, who did we see? So you mentioned Tyler Perry as somebody that you saw. Oh, yeah. Is there any other people that we saw there that stood out to you?
I enjoy seeing Dawn Staley. I was like you said, HBCU. She was the professor. I was just taking notes, during that discussion. And of course, seeing the actors and actresses from Raising Kanan, I was kind of starstruck, seeing the actress who plays Raquel Thomas, but just talking to them, and it made me have a better appreciation for actors and actresses and how they go about character building. Yeah, I thought like, you just go on set and read your lines and make it as realistic. But no, they were diving deep into like the smallest details and things that, So one of Raising Kanan, Marvin Thomas, Raquel's brother, if you watch the show, he's always eating something. And I asked him, I was like, why is your character always eating something? And I was just thinking it was just like something, he was going to say something very high level, but he went into detail and he kind of used acting terminology that I never heard before. But you could tell he was really like a professional at his craft and really like considered it. Even the Beauty and the Black people, Mallory, one of the things during the panel discussion, if you guys watch Beauty and the Black, Mallory is a complete a-hole, complete B. And she always comes off, she presents herself as this strong shell, like nothing's gonna get to her. But the actress was like, I need to make this character human. How can I make her like burnable? And so she was really pushing for like subtle scenes, but enough to be like, I did it.
Chance to cry.
Yes, and then the fact that she said it during the panel discussion, and then a producer was like, "I saw that." I saw that. It was just cool watching them interact and like them giving each other flowers as well. So
representation on screen and behind the camera. Yeah, I think it was really cool for me. So we got to see they like premiered the film Strong, which will come out June 26th on Peacock. But it stars Chloe Bailey, like Lynn Whitfield, Coco Jones, just like this all-star panel of amazing people. But for some of the actors and actresses, it was their first time seeing the full film, like with the first time seeing it, but then they had a live audience behind them. And it was so funny because they're like, when you watch a film with Black people, like, you know you're watching it with Black people, because they're going to be like, what are you doing? Like, they speak back to they speak back to the screen. And it was just so, like, affirming for them to see people connect to the characters that they spent so much time just creating. And I think that speaks to the importance of just representation, right? Representation in media and storytelling, representation behind the camera as well as in front of the camera, because there's so many nuances to being Black. Like you said, like, everybody has a different experience as a Black person. We're not a monolith, but there are some similarities that when you come together and everybody in the room is like, like, it just does something to you. So say a little bit about that. Why do you think it matters? Why do you think representation matters in storytelling?
Well, that's one of the things we definitely saw at the film festival, is just how much representation matters. Trying to remember who said it. It was in our Netflix panel when they were talking about the streaming services and how we need to watch things more than one time, and breaking that algorithm if we want to continue to see representation. It matters because we can so easily lose our seat at the table to have our narrative shown. And it's not a guarantee that just because we're there today that we will be there tomorrow. As technology changes, as the systems around us that hold that technology change, we need to know the cheat codes on how to vote with our views. And she was really shining the light on that. And so one of the reasons I think representation matters is because if we don't get to see ourselves, we lose the validation that comes along with it. Just being able to see somebody who looks like you and have that shared experience lets you know what's possible. I believe it was Mario Van Peebles who was on that Netflix talk that said, that talked about the impact of, the college show, Megan, help me out.
A Different
World. And how when A Different World was on, how test scores for Black students, how just academic achievements in general rose because of that show. And that speaks to the power of representation. If you don't get to see yourself achieving more, even if it's in a fictional setting, you don't get the thought that, oh, there's something there that I could actually reach for. And so a lot of times we just mimic what we see sometimes and limit ourselves to the possibilities of what we see. And so it's important that we show our audience more and not less of what's possible for us. That's why I think representation matters. What about you guys?
Yeah, I mean, because if you allow someone else to write your story, they're going to write it from their perspective, and their perspective is outside looking in. And as Black people, we have so much depth and width to us. And so one of the things that I love, was refreshing during the Netflix panel was, showing love in different expressions. And, not just from a romantic side of things, but there's different ways to express love and let Black storytelling tell that, And so that was one thing that I took away. That's pretty good.
I remember you saying that in Miami. That like stuck with you.
Yeah.
Because they did talk about they talked about romantic love, but also like platonic love, like what it means to have family. Like people that are just in your corner fighting for you. And it doesn't just have to be like a spouse or a significant other.
What Black cinema means to us.
I think you are so right that it's important to tell our own stories, because I feel like there's almost this dichotomy that you're told as a Black person, right? So you're told like, you're Black, you're beautiful, you're bold, like you have the blood of your ancestors flowing through you, like go and change the world. But then you also hear like, do that, but like don't be too bright, because people may try to like chop you down. So there's always like, hey, go do something great, but like a caution to not
make sure you put a filter over that light.
Yeah, exactly. Like dim the light just a little bit so people like don't get offended. And it's a weird place to live in, but it's something that you understand if you like live that experience. And so if somebody's telling your story that doesn't understand that, then you're like, you kind of got it, but like there's a piece missing. And so when you see yourself reflected and like you just see all of the nuance there, I think that matters. I think of that scene, I don't know if you guys ever watched How to Get Away with Murder with Viola Davis. And like the first scene where she like took off the wig. And she had like her
That was iconic.
Her braids going back and she's like pulling off the makeup, and just how like impactful that was for Black people that were watching this Black woman on screen take off the mask. and like that being okay, and be like, oh wow, like okay, like this feels important and significant, and that means something. And I don't think you'll get that.
You're not selling your own story. The word they used was nuanced, and being able to pick apart the nuances that would speak to the community you're trying to talk to. And I know in writing our own documentary, it was the nuances, because we were a collaborative team. It was me and Regina, and it was Rona and Barbara, and we were like, it was an
Totally different.
Yeah, it's like totally different perspectives. And, Regina and I have a vantage point, and Rona and Barbara had a vantage point, and they definitely just weren't the same. And some of the nuances that were important to us that we had to fight for, even within our own film, to say, no, like that line is important, that sentiment is important, that particular story is important. And it's something that, for no fault of their own, they miss because it's not their culture, it's not their experience. They don't know the nuances. And so having Black writers, having Black directors, having Black creatives is important in order to be able to capture the nuance. You can tell the same story and you can tell the same general storyline and it be a completely different story, depending on if the nuances are there and are picked up.
No, I think that's so good. But I think, like, to your point, it was good to have me and you there in the room, and specifically you, because you, like, grew up in the Lexington context. And so I'm kind of coming from the outside and, like, seeing what I see, but also what I experience. But also to have their experience as well, to see, like, oh, man, we are, like, 4 women living in the same city and having very different experiences from the same city. And, like, that in itself is a story. But also, like, I don't know, just like loving their desire for like accuracy. Okay. So we were, a short caveat, we were on a call for 14 hours one day. Like, I'm surprised Zoom didn't just completely shut down. But like that was needed, right? And that was after days of going through the script over and over and over again. But having this 14 hours just to go line by line, this matters, that like we need to take out, we need to cut it here. No, like we need to extend, we need to like keep that whole story in. Yeah, leave that pause. Yeah, change the music here, like music and pictures, all of that. All of that is so important to the story. A story that we had to tell in under an hour that we got in 52 minutes. But yeah, just like it was important for us to be able to speak from the Black perspective and say, like, no, this is going to be meaningful to our Black population. And like, this is our love letter to our Black community here. And I think from the response, I think like we thread that needle and we did it. We did it well. Speaking about some of those things, going back to the film festival, what was something that challenged or inspired you guys while you were at the film festival?
I would say during the Dawn Staley panel discussion, one of her main talking points was the art of the pivot. And I kind of heard that similar conversation in the Tay Diggs panel discussion. Being able to adapt and to like learn, always be a learner in whatever stage of life you're in. You know, once you master one thing, you're gonna have to adjust and be a student in another, you know, and just being, I guess, vulnerable and okay with that, you know. And then another thing that she mentioned was meeting people where they're at. You know, she was talking about when she was recruiting how, you know, her recruits, their story's different, you know. She was like, at this point, I'm older than their parents. So, you know, meeting them where they're at, setting the right expectations, and just, you know, how you would coach one player might be different than how, you know, you would coach someone else. And when you coach them, it's not just on the floor. Like, you have to bring everybody to the table, their mom, their dad, their main ones who they communicate with, make sure that they're all involved. Because she was saying if someone else is like in their ear, it can taint your whole team essentially. And so that stuck.
So it's more than just the team. It's the team and everybody that comes with them.
Where the industry needs to go.
Film itself is relatively new. Like, this is not an old phenomenon. Storytelling is an ancient phenomenon. Film is new with technology. And we are even newer to that space and having autonomy and control from the front end to the back end. So from writing and ideation to what ends up on the final cutting board. I think the reason Black film spaces matter is because it kind of is a sacred space. It goes from us being around, sitting around telling stories the way things used to happen before TV, when it was maybe just radio, and even before just radio, and us having control over the conversation, to us now not having as much control. And that becomes another playing field for us to have to make sure we don't lose ground in. And so being able to be a Black film creative is a form of power. And it's not power that we should give up lightly. We need to train people to be Black film creators in order to be able to occupy that space and continue to have a vote in what stories of ours continue to get told.
That's so good. As you were speaking, I was reminded when we were at the film festival, like the questions are just different. So when you're in the room, people are like, "Oh, so are you a filmmaker or you're an actress?" And I'm like,
We made a documentary.
"Yeah, I am a filmmaker." That's a great question.
Yeah.
But just like, in what other context? Like, do people just assume that like you're a filmmaker or you're an actress? And I'm like, thank you for let me clearly show you the film that I'm a part of. But I think you're right. Like, yeah, Black film spaces definitely matter, and we need to keep them around. We need to keep telling our stories and making sure they don't disappear. I mean, that's one of our goals, is to be an active memory of these Black stories, specifically in Lexington. But our local stories do matter on the national stage as well.
And why is that, Regina?
So it's a good question. When we were in Miami, we got to show our film Lexington Resilience at the Red Line. Lexington Resilience in the Red Line. Let me not mess up the name of our own film. At the Historic Lyric Theater in Overtown in Miami, which is so cool because it's connected to our Lyric Theater here. It was one of the theaters on the Chitlin Circuit, which is a place where like Black people could go and know that they could feel safe and like hear stories, tell stories, enjoy entertainment, and a number of other things. So it was incredible that we got to go to this place and screen our film. Dr. Dorothy Jenkins was in the audience, and she revived essentially the Lyric Theater there in Miami. But it was so cool that the folks that were in Miami are watching a very Lexington story, but they were still able to connect it to their own families. So after the film, there is some ladies that came up and they're like, that was incredible. Like, it made me think of my grandfather. It made me think of, just all the pieces and parts of their family where they also encountered difficulty, but chose to be resilient, and now like they're thriving today. So I think like local stories point to what's happening nationally, but it just gives it that like that nuance.
That nuance.
That personal nuance. That's probably the word for us today. It's just nuance.
To talk about that experience with that screening at that Lyric, one of the things that stood out for me was the difference in the environment around their Lyric versus our Lyric. Mm-hmm. When I had an opportunity to get on stage, I mentioned that because their Lyric has everything around it has been torn down. There was a thriving Black community that was there, and the only thing left standing is that Lyric Theater because, what was the lady's name?
Which one?
That preserved the theater.
Dr. Dorothy Jenkins.
Dr. Dorothy Jenkins, because she preserved that theater. That's what's left. But everything around it, there's an interstate kind of right beside it. There are other, high rises all around it. Like, you would never know really what had been there, as opposed to our Lyric that still has its community around it. And one of the warnings they wanted to give to us was like, don't let this become your community too, where you lose the community that surrounds the theater. Yeah. And so it was interesting to see what could be lost. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? What is worth preserving, but also what could definitely be lost if we don't protect and honor and fight for preserving our own communities.
That's so good.
Yeah.
How to get involved and why you should.
So do you think we'll do more film festivals in the future?
Absolutely.
I hope so, man. I'm along for the ride. It just opened my eyes to just different perspectives.
Yeah.
And what's possible out there, for sure.
That's so good.
Yeah, I definitely want to do more film festivals. I mean, we've applied. So, anything's possible. We're waiting to hear back from Martha's Vineyard. Fingers crossed. That's another big Black Film Festival that it would be awesome to not only have our film shown at, but you should just go to, because that would be so cool. But yes, I would love for us to continue to do more films and just be able to be a part of the conversation at film festivals.
I love that. So people have to stay tuned, hear more about the films we're going to create, the film festivals we'll be a part of, the stories we're going to tell and preserve. That's exciting.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts? I want to hear your story about the media pass. So how did you get these interviews?
Tony. I don't even know Tony, by the way.
So wait, you gotta tell them the full, like, she's like behind the scenes, y'all, with the Raising Kanan cast, like up there asking them questions. She's like, I'm Miami Times.
Yeah.
Miami Times.
So Kristen is talking to Tony and his wife, and it's after the panel discussion. And they're like, we're in a nice building, but you know how Black people are. They don't leave. Like, you know, it's like in a church, you're just gonna sit there. And so the people are like trying at work there, hey, you gotta go. From this AC, cool conditions out to the hot heat.
Yes,
And
very
so
humid.
I'm like, Kristen, we gotta go. So during this discussion, Tony gives her media passes. Really doesn't say how to use them or whatnot. He just gives her these red passes that we've never seen before, you know? And so Kristen's like, I got these media passes. And she says this while we're standing in line, a long line, by the way, to get into another discussion. And I'm looking, I'm like, okay, well, let's see if this media pass can get us into the shorter line. And she's like, I don't know how to use it. I was like, well, we're going to start asking and figure it out. So we just asked the people who work there, and they were nice. They were on their Rocky Talkies, like, you know, can we do this? Can we do that? And so when we were about to walk in, this one worker was like, hey, they may ask you to bring somebody down to help walk you in. And I was like, well, who's that person? I don't know. Who do I need to tell them that I know to get in? She just looks at me, so I'm like, okay. But we get in, no complaints. And then similar thing with Raising Kanan. We don't really know how to use these media passes. But Kristen just so happens to see a sign for media. And we walk in. Again, we were probably looking like a deer in the headlights.
We're actresses. And this is what we do. We know how to perform.
We walk in, and I'm like, I don't have a media schedule, so I'm asking things that I should know as the media. Like, what's the schedule gonna be like? Who's coming in? They're looking at me like a lost puppy. But once I asked the questions, they were so welcoming and like, okay, this is what you need to do. They were giving us pointers as we were there. And so once the people walked in, the actors and actresses, they were just like reassuring. They were like, okay, you're gonna have to step a little closer to them. You can't be playing far back. You're gonna have to be in it and just go for it. Yeah. And so luckily, I'm a fan of Raising Kanan. So I already knew like the storyline, the characters. Mm-hmm. So the questions that I was asking kind of came just from watching the show. And because I was fanning out over Raquel, I follow her Instagram. So I kind of know her backstory of she's a runner. She likes to do marathons and whatnot. So I was asking her like personal questions, and she was kind of like taken back, like, oh, you know this about me. You know I was in theater and whatnot. And so at the end of her interview, she was like, I like the questions that you asked. Aww. So that was just like a win in my head. You know, so I was just in awe.
Megan said, I'm going to go be a reporter.
Yes. And then just how, again, welcoming people were. Like they knew we didn't really have it all together, but they were assisting along the way. And just, that was just an awesome experience. And I would love to do it again. Yes. So
great time in Miami. Glad to have shared that experience with the two of you guys. It was a good week. It was a quick week, actually. And looking forward to more trips, more film festivals, and more experiences to share with you all, our audience. So
one thing Kristen's not saying, we did a karaoke night, and she got on the mic.
I was doing my dissertation at that point. This is more than a record. This is the weaving.
thread by thread, story by story, until the truth becomes visible.